Hello everybody, my name is Marlo. Today I'm going to show you how to build this little Italian/Spanish inspired house in Minecraft. To begin with, this is our materials list for the outside of the build alone. I do have a separate list for everything we're going to do on the inside if that's something of interest, so we'll wait till later on and do all of the interior work at once. But I'm just doing a quick scan over all of the blocks here in case any of you are unsure on what some of them are, so hopefully now that should have cleared things up. And everything in here is to the exact number needed, except from the cobblestone and the granite and all of the brick up here. There's no real way to tell the exact figure for those, so I've just erred on the side of caution and given you a little bit more than what you probably need. First of all, we want to grab our oak logs, yellow terracotta and cobblestone, and we're going to outline the shape of the build. So to begin with, we're going to have an oak log and then 1, 2, 3 yellow terracotta with another oak log just beside it, and that right there is going to be where the doorway is, just to give you an idea of how you want to position this. But we can then come around to the right hand side and do 3 more yellow terracotta, another oak log, 3 more yellow terracotta again, and then another oak log. We can then get our cobblestone and go diagonally inwards a block and have 1, 2, 3 cobblestone, 1, 2, 3, 4 cobblestone, and then 2 more at the front here. So we should have a shape like this. We can then bring up each of these oak logs by 4 more blocks for a total of 5 on each of these corners. So that's 1 at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then same again on this one right here. And now we're going to work on doing the roof. So for this, I'm only going to be using granite, and I'd suggest you do the same, hence why I gave you so much more than the polished granite and the brick, because we're going to be adding lots of texture into the roof, and it's just going to be 10 times easier doing it with 1 block and then adding the other 2 in afterwards. So we can come to the front of the house here and have 2 upside down stairs at the very top of these pillar blocks with a regular one on the back of those as well as 1 on the top. We can then have 2 more upside down ones with a line of 3 slabs at the very top, so we should have that shape there. We can then come around to the side and do that very quickly, just like that, and then we can come to the right hand side of the build here and have 2 upside down stairs with a line of slabs going all the way across. Over on the left hand side of the build here, where we have our cobblestone, we're going to add in 2 more stairs just next to this one here. And now what I suggest you do is add 3 yellow terracotta blocks on top of all of the cobblestone we've placed down. We'll punch out some windows later on, but this is just going to make building this part of the roof a whole lot easier. So 3 blocks on top of all of the cobblestone, but on this middle block here in the center, we can place another one down just like that. And on that singular block, we can have a slab on the top part of it, as well as 2 more in the corners here. And just beside that one, we can have a temporary block with a slab coming out of it. Get rid of the temp block and do the same over here, giving us this shape. We can then come around to the sides of the build and add in 3 more slabs on the same level as that bottom one, and do the same at the front around here. On these 2 terracotta blocks, we can have 2, and then same again over on this side. And then on the top part of this block, we can have 1, 2, and 3 slabs, and do the same on the other side round here. 1, 2, 3, and then on the top part, we can have 1, 2, and 3 slabs. Now all we have to do is fill in the rest of the roof. So you can see we've got a stair here, meaning we want to have stairs going all the way across connecting to the other side. Same again around here, so stairs matching up with the stairs on the other side. And as you can see, we have slabs on the top, meaning we have to fill the rest in with slabs, of course. So that is the roof all done, and obviously right now it doesn't look particularly good because it's entirely made of granite, so we need to change that up by adding in some texture, and you can really do this however you want. If you want your roof to say have more brick in than granite, use more brick, but say you want to have a 1:3 ratio, which is what I'm trying to keep with here, try and use them an even amount so you get a pretty good spread of all 3 blocks. Hopefully you now have something you're happy with as far as the roof is concerned, so now we can come to the cobblestone part of this build and punch out where the windows are going to go. So these 2 blocks here around the front, and then on the side we'll have these 2 and these 2 as well, and then round the back just this single one in the center. And now we're going to do the same for the main part of the house here. So each section we're going to fill out and punch out the windows and the doorway. So first of all, the main entranceway. And we have a nice flat yellow surface, and we're going to get rid of 1, 2, and 3 blocks on the bottom here, and then 1 more at the very top. Spooky noise to move on to the second side here. where we can get rid of these two and these three, just like that. And coming around to the final side here, we can go 2 blocks up from the bottom and get rid of these two right here. What we can do now is something about all of this cobblestone, and what I like to do is just mix a little bit of mossy in because I think it goes quite well with our block palette here and just gets away from using this much cobblestone. And now we can grab some of that and turn it into stairs, and pretty much just every now and again replace one of them with an upside down stair, kind of giving a little bit of personality to the build, giving it some wear and tear, making it look like bits have been chipped away. I just think it's a really small detail and a nice little one you can add in. And before I forget, we're also going to come up to the roof here, and at the very top on the slab level we're going to go 1, 2 in and get rid of this block here, replace it with cobblestone, and then we're going to have a stair, and kind of as you go here you want to chop and change between mossy and cobble, another upside down stair, and then another cobble at the top where we can have a campfire and surround that with some trapdoors for a nice little chimney design. All that we really have left to do is add in all of the windows and any other little details we want to have around the entire build, and I think the best way to do this is going a side at a time. So we'll start off at our main entranceway here by placing a plank on the bottom part of that block there with 2 stairs going inwards either side, and then we can have a central one in the middle which curves them roundwards, leading up to the doorway here where we can place our jungle door just like that. And then on the bottom part of these oak logs here we can have a brick wall with 2 spruce fences above it, and then some acacia slabs, and going up half a block and up half a block again, and then down the other side with a lantern in the middle just like that. And then we can have a jungle trapdoor which you can leave open or close, it's entirely up to you. I'm going to leave it open for now. And just beside our jungle door here we want to have 2 acacia buttons just to fill in that little bit of empty space. Moving on round to the right hand side, on the 2 blocks we've punched out here we can have some acacia fences, and on the 3 ones we can have an acacia stair, jungle trapdoor, and then an upside down acacia stair. And on the bottom block here just beside our fences we can have another acacia stair upside down, and then on the top block here we want to have a fence of the spruce kind, open it up and have an acacia slab on top of that one. Just beside it here we want to have some trapdoors as shutters, and then on this block here we can have a flower pot with a flower of your choosing. For round the back we can come to the hole we've punched out before and have an upside down acacia stair with a jungle trapdoor as our window, and then on these bottom blocks here we can have a stripped acacia log with an upside down acacia stair in the center. Line the top of those with some grass blocks and cover them all up with some spruce trapdoors for a nice little flower bed, which we will place some things on afterwards. But at the top here we can have a spruce fence with a lantern hanging from below with 2 acacia buttons either side. In this small gap we can have an acacia fence with an upside down acacia stair below it and a trapdoor on the side as another shutter. We can also have a flower pot with another flower that you'd like to put inside of it, and just here we're going to have some barrels, so stack them, changing them up a little bit, so some facing upwards and some facing sideways, so you get a little bit of stack variation doing it that way. And if you'd like you can also put an item frame on the top of this one with something to go inside. I'm going to put some sweet berries in my barrels. As for this side here, we can have 2 acacia stairs on the bottom block that we've punched out with 2 jungle trapdoors in the other gap, and then we can have a brick wall, placing 3 of them just like that with a gap in between, and then 2 spruce fences above it with a spruce fence gate in the middle, and we can open both of those up. And then on top of the spruce fence gates we can have a trapdoor, and then on this center fence we can have a flower pot with nothing inside. It's just to make it look a little bit different from the 2 side fences we have. We have made it back round to the front of the house and ready to complete the final section, so we can have an acacia stair with an acacia fence above it and a spruce trapdoor on the right hand side, another fence with a lantern hanging down from below, and on these 2 blocks here we can have some rose bushes, and we're going to have 2 spruce trapdoors on the front and 2 oak trapdoors on the sides, which just makes a nice little rose garden growing out the front of the house, which I think looks super nice with the style we've chosen here. So that is the exterior of the build all done. We're now going to move inside and start work on the interior, which looks something a little like this. And if you want to see how I built all of what you're seeing, stick around and I'll show you how. And here is your list of items you're going to need to build this. So I've tried to make the inside of this house keep with the same feel of the outside and continue to be aesthetically pleasing, which isn't always easy if you want to make it useful for a survival situation. So there's a few blocks here at the end, this stone cutter, the blast furnace and the cartography table, which are actually hidden away underground but are accessible because they're beneath some trapdoors. So say you'd rather have a smithing table instead of a cartography table, switch them out, smoker instead of a blast furnace, switch them out. So yeah, whatever you want to hide away underground which you could make use of in survival, use these 3 blocks here. So we can head inside the house and come to the left hand side of our doorway, get rid of this corner block of grass and place a lever underneath with a piston on top, which is going to serve as a table design. And now just beside it we can place a strip spruce log facing towards us with one on the side here. And as we go, we now want to kind of create a little bit of a checkered board pattern. So when we've got this texture, we want to place it facing into it, and when we've got this texture, place it sideways. So we kind of want to crisscross as we go, getting the idea as we place more down, and then you should have this texture here on the side where we can place 2 more spruce stairs and then hop over and get rid of all of this grass on the floor, and then we can place some trapdoors, and underneath these is where we're going to hide our secret blocks. On this top yellow terracotta block we want to have 2 oak logs coming across, and then just beside it on these 2 we want to have 2 spruce slabs, and then we're going to put a line of oak logs connecting these 2 pillars, so we should have something that looks like that. And then if we turn around and look up to the ceiling, we should see either a cobblestone or a mossy cobblestone block, and underneath that we can bring down 4 cobblestone walls leading to a furnace, so that way it looks like our furnace is actually connected up with our chimney on the roof. Just beside the furnace we're going to place down our crafting bench, which is obviously very helpful in survival and I don't think looks too out of the ordinary inside here. But beside that one we're going to have 1, 2, 3 and 4 ladders leading up to a second floor. Yes, this house is going to have 2 stories. It's pretty cramped and cozy, but you guys know that's how I like my build. So we're then going to place some trapdoors on this level here, so just make sure it's in line with the top of this acacia block and not like that, otherwise we're not going to be able to place any blocks flat on the surface. But if we go down one, you can see that works very well. So just make sure you're on the right level, and then we can bring them all the way across and have 2 more over here, and then we can still access it by the ladder going all the way up to the top. And we just want to cover up the chimney here, so we're going to do that using some more trapdoors. A little bit ugly, so we can just kind of block that out the way with, and then we're going to have a line of barrels over here, and this is kind of where the main storage room is. Again, it's very small and starter home, there's not a whole lot in here, but should be enough just for a little bit. So some more chests which can be opened because the roof is made out of slabs, and then on this window here we can just display a nice little flower, which is why I chose to leave the trapdoor open. Just quickly, we're going to have a spruce fence on this block with a lantern just below, so we can light this place up a little bit. And if you guys have been following the lighting I've done on the outside, you don't need to worry about mob spawning. It's going to be above light level 7 wherever you go, so as long as you've done what I've done, you should be absolutely fine. But now what we want to have is a item frame on top of our piston table with a tripwire hook, which I think looks a little bit like a key maybe, where it's stored to lock the door. And then over in this corner here, we want to come down to this level and place down 2 looms, and so we get this texture like this. So it's still able to be used if you want to use a loom, but just looks like some drawers maybe to store some things, and then on top we can have another little flower pot. Speaking of flowers, something I forgot to mention for the outside is to grab some lilacs and peonies and just dot a couple of these around the outside of the build, as I think they go quite nicely with everything else we've got going on here. Now we can start work on this little section down here. So underneath these trapdoors, if we flick them backwards and get rid of these 3 grass blocks, is where we're going to hide away our items that we don't want on show. So for me, it's going to be cartography table, stone cutter and blast furnace. Obviously change them up for other blocks you'd rather have instead, but we're just going to hop on down here and get rid of all of the dirt blocks that are on the show, even this little one down here next to the stone cutter because it's less than a full block of height, and I'm just going to replace it all with some spruce planks blocks, apart from this block here. It's kind of part of the pillar, so it makes sense to have that as an oak log, and then we can just go ahead and cover all of it up, and you'd never know it was there, and you can still access it pretty easily if you want to use them. Of course, you're going to want a bed inside your house, so that can go in the corner here, and we're going to have a chest just at the foot of it, which maybe you can store your important items next to where you sleep, and everything else can go upstairs. But just beside the front of the bed here, we're going to have a scaffolding as a little bit of a table, and yet another flower pot with a flower inside. I do love my flower pots, use them all the time, but just make sure when you're accessing your blocks underground, do not retract this third one here, otherwise that's going to happen, and that's not really good. We don't want our table breaking every time, so just make sure you stick to using these two. And that is the interior all done, meaning the house is fully finished and you're ready to move on in. So I really hope you guys did like this build and the tutorial itself. I had so much fun putting this one together. It's very unlike the style I'd usually go for, so I've seriously enjoyed myself, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. Thank you very much for doing that, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.